Imagine a huge, really grand ceremony from way back in ancient times, one that needed this absolutely massive animal sacrifice, literally thousands of animals.
Yeah, staggering numbers.
Now picture the person preparing it all, sort of stopping and thinking, hang on, is there a better way, a more, fruitful way to do this?
That's exactly the pivot point. And this deep dive is all about exploring that question.
We're going to look closely at this ancient text, the Kūṭadantasuttaṃ.
Mm-hmm. It's one of the Buddha's discourses, or sermons. And the insights in it are, well, pretty surprising. They really challenge our usual ideas of what sacrifice means.
Think of it like a shortcut, maybe, to understanding a really fascinating bit of history and philosophy.
Definitely. So the core of it is this conversation. It's between a really powerful Brahmin priest, this guy Kūṭadanta, and Gautama.
Who we know as the Buddha.
Right. And it starts off seemingly about how to do a perfect traditional sacrifice, the rituals and stuff.
But then it takes this turn, doesn't it? It goes somewhere much deeper.
Way deeper. So our mission today really is to unpack what makes a sacrifice truly valuable, according to this text.
We'll go from those traditional external rituals to some pretty revolutionary ideas about social structures, and then even further into deep personal transformation.
Get ready for some moments, I think. This text really does turn things on their head.
It does. So let's set the scene. We're in ancient Magadha, this specific Brahmin village called Kanumata. It's described as really prosperous.
Okay. And Gautama, the Buddha, he arrives there.
Yeah, he arrives with a big group, like 500 monks.
Yeah.
And they set up camp in this mango grove nearby called Ambalethika.
Gotcha. And our main guy, Kūṭadanta.
Right, Kūṭadanta. He's not just any priest. He's a big deal. Powerful, respected. He's actually the lord of this whole village, Kanumata.
Oh, wow. So he's in charge.
Totally. It was actually a royal gift to him from the king Bimdisara. And the text makes a point of saying how well the village is doing under him, teeming with life, rich in grass, wood, water, full of grain, really flourishing. And he's preparing for this great sacrifice, the Mahayana.
Exactly. And great is an understatement. The numbers are just wild. 700 bulls, 700 steers, 700 heifers, 700 goats, 700 rams.
Whoa, that's a lot. Like 3,500 animals?
Yeah, huge numbers. All brought there, tied to the sacrificial post, just waiting for the ritual. It's hard to even picture the scale.
Seriously. So while that's going on, people in the village start hearing about Gautama.
Mm-hmm. Word spreads about his amazing reputation. They use this whole list of titles for him. The Arahant, the perfectly enlightened one, teacher of gods and humans, the Buddha, the blessed one, the whole package.
So naturally, people are curious.
Right. They start heading out in groups to the mango grove, Ambalethika, to see him.
Okay, and this is where it gets interesting with Kūṭadanta. He sees this happening.
Yeah, he's watching from his palace, sees all the villagers going towards Ambalethika. He asks his driver, what's going on, and learns Gautama's there and why people are so impressed.
And here's the key part, right? He remembers something he heard.
Exactly. He remembers hearing that this Gautama knows the secret, basically, to the threefold perfection of sacrifice with 16 requisites.
Which is exactly the kind of high-level knowledge he feels he's missing for his own giant sacrifice.
Precisely. So even though he's this incredibly high-status guy, he decides he needs to go see Gautama to ask about it.
That's pretty humble, actually. He doesn't summon Gautama.
Not at all. He even sends a message ahead to the villagers, telling them to wait up. He's coming too, which, immediately tells you something about his mindset. He's curious.
But I bet not everyone in his circle was thrilled about that plan.
Oh, definitely not. There are lots of other Brahmins there, specifically for Kūṭadanta's big sacrifice. When they hear he's planning to go visit Gautama, they're alarmed.
Why? Because of status.
Completely. They confront him, argue against it pretty strongly. Their whole thing is, if you, Kūṭadanta, go to him, Gautama, it lowers your status and raises his. It upsets the established order.
Ah, the hierarchy. So they try to remind him how important he is.
Exactly. They basically read out his resume. They say, you're well-born on both sides, pure lineage back 7 generations.
Okay.
You're wealthy, you're rich, you're incredibly learned, master of the Vedas, all the important subjects, grammar, history, even knowing the physical marks of a great man.
Right, the whole scholarly package.
Plus, he's handsome, virtuous, a great speaker. He's a famous teacher himself. 300 students come from all over to learn from him.
Wow, okay, so he's clearly a major figure.
Absolutely. They also point out he's old and venerable, whereas Gautama is young and only recently became an ascetic.
Age and experience versus youth.
And he's respected by the king, King Bimbisara, and this other top Brahmin, Pokarasati. Plus, he owns the village. Royal gift.
So their conclusion is pretty clear.
Yeah. Gautama should be coming to you. It's all about external status, power, wealth, lineage.
So, faced with all that pressure from his peers, how does Kūṭadanta react? Does he back down?
Not even slightly. He completely dismisses their objections. And his rebuttal is amazing because he takes their points and turns them around to show why Gautama is actually more worthy of the visit.
Okay, how does he do that?
Well, he agrees Gautama has pure lineage, but then he says, look, Gautama renounced a huge inheritance of great family, plenty of gold and silver. That act of letting go shows a different kind of worth.
Ah, detachment as a higher value.
Exactly. He points out Gautama left home young, even though his parents were heartbroken. He emphasizes Gautama's inner purity, not just looks.
So it's not about the surface stuff.
Right. He argues Gautama's wisdom is superior. His way of teaching actually helps people understand. He says Gautama is also a teacher of many.
Okay, countering point by point.
And he highlights Gautama's inner state. He's destroyed sensual desire. He's free from agitation. He teaches about karma and action, about living ethically wholesome conduct.
These are all qualities the other Brahmins didn't even mention.
Precisely. Kūṭadanta keeps going. Gautama comes from a high warrior caste, the Kshatriyas. People travel from all over just to consult him. Even, thousands of deities have taken refuge in him.
Deities, okay, that's a big claim.
It shows the level of reverence. He repeats that litany of praises people were saying about Gautama, Arahant, perfectly enlightened, etc., confirming it's all true.
What else?
He mentions Gautama has the 32 marks of a great man, these traditional physical signs of a spiritually exceptional being.
Ah, so using a traditional marker, but for Gautama.
Right. He says Gautama is welcoming, friendly, easy to approach. He's respected by everyone, warriors, ministers, Brahmins, householders. Gods and humans have faith in him.
He's building a powerful case.
He notes that even the places Gautama stays become peaceful, free from disturbance by non-humans. He leads a whole community of monks. He's seen as the foremost ascetic. And his fame comes from genuine wisdom and conduct, not just, worldly success.
It's a completely different measure of greatness.
Totally. He points out that even powerful kings like Bimbisara and Pasenadi and that respected Brahmin Pokarasati have all taken refuge in Gautama. They respect him.
Undercutting their earlier point about who respects whom.
Exactly. And then the final, very practical point. Gautama is currently a guest in his village, Kanumata, and guests should always be honored.
Good point. Basic hospitality.
So Kūṭadanta just concludes, look, Gautama's qualities are immeasurable. Your criteria are too narrow. Gautama excels even by those, let alone by the deeper measures of wisdom and liberation.
Wow. That is a powerful rebuttal. He's not just defending his decision, he's teaching them a lesson about true worth.
That's the first huge aha moment, redefining greatness away from just birth and wealth towards spiritual attainment and ethical conduct.
And how do the other Brahmins take it?
They're totally convinced. They actually say, okay, you're right. Even if Gautama were 100 leagues away, a faithful person should go see him.
Amazing. So they all go together.
Yep. Kūṭadanta and all the Brahmins hurry together to the Ambalahika Grove to meet Gautama.
Okay, so after that whole debate about status, Kūṭadanta and the Brahmins finally arrive and sit down with Gautama. What's the first thing Kūṭadanta asks?
He gets straight to the point that brought him there. He asks Gautama to explain that specific thing, the threefold perfection of sacrifice with 16 requisites. He still wants that ritual knowledge.
And Gautama's answer is not what he expected.
Yeah, not at all. Instead of giving him, a ritual checklist, Gautama tells a story from the past. It's about another king, a really wealthy and powerful one named Mahavihira, who also wanted to perform a great sacrifice for his own long-term benefit.
Okay, a historical precedent.
Yeah.
And what happens in this story?
King Mahavihira goes to his chief Brahmin priest for advice. But the priest points out, look, Your Majesty, the kingdom's actually kind of a mess right now. There's unrest, crime, banditry.
So, problems in the realm.
Yeah. And here's the crucial bit. The priest advises the king against using punishment to fix it. No killing, imprisonment, fines, censure, or exile. He says those methods don't really work long-term. They just leave resentment simmering.
That sounds incredibly progressive for ancient times. So what does he suggest?
Something completely different. He advises focusing on fixing the root causes through basically socioeconomic development.
Like what?
Provide seed and food for farmers and cattle rearers, provide capital for merchants and traders, provide proper wages and food for people working for the state, essentially give people the means to support themselves properly.
So, welfare and economic stimulus, thousands of years ago.
Pretty much. And the story says it worked wonders. People got busy with their own work, stopped causing trouble, the kingdom became safe, peaceful, the king's treasury actually grew,
Wow.
and people were happy. The text uses this lovely image. They lived joyfully, dancing their children on their hips with open doors, which just symbolizes total security and prosperity.
That's beautiful.
Yeah.
So that was the necessary first step, creating a just and thriving society.
Exactly. That's the real foundation, the precondition for any truly beneficial sacrifice. Good governance, social well-being that comes first.
Okay, so the kingdom is now peaceful and prosperous. Then the king asks about the sacrifice again.
Right. Now that the foundation is laid, the king asks the priest again, and now the priest outlines these 16 requisites that make the sacrifice perfect.
And how are those 16 broken down? Is it complicated?
It's actually quite logical. They fall into a few categories. First, there are 4 approvals. The whole community had to be on board, meaning the Kshatriya officials, the administrators, both in towns and the countryside, the king's ministers and counselors, the great Brahmins, and the wealthy householders. All 4 groups had to fully endorse it, basically saying, yes, your majesty, go ahead, it's the right time. It needed community buy-in.
Makes sense. What's next?
Then there were 8 qualities that the king himself, Mahavijita, had to possess.
So the person performing it matters. What kind of qualities?
A mix of good character and capability. He had to be well-born, handsome, wealthy, yes, but also strong, with a good army, faithful, genuinely generous to everyone, ascetics, Brahmins, the poor, learned, wise, able to think about past, present, and future consequences. Basically, a virtuous and competent leader.
So it's not just about being king, but being a good king.
Exactly. And the priest guiding the sacrifice also needed 4 specific qualities.
Him too. Okay. Similar stuff.
Yeah, pretty similar. Well-born, learned in the Vedas and everything, virtuous in his conduct, and wise, considered the best person to be leading the offering ceremony. So both the main actor and the main guide had to be top-notch, ethically and intellectually.
All right, so that's 4 approvals, 8 kingly qualities, 4 priestly qualities. That's 16 requisites. Is that the threefold perfection part?
Almost. That covers the 16 requisites. The threefold perfection seems to relate more to the mindset, especially the king's mindset during the whole process.
Oh, okay. How so?
The priest specifically prepared the king's mind so he would have no regret at any stage.
No regret. About what? The cost.
Exactly. No regret before the sacrifice about the huge amount of wealth being spent. No regret during the sacrifice as it was being spent. And no regret after the sacrifice looking back at the expense.
So complete willingness and generosity of spirit, no second thoughts.
Precisely. It shows pure intention without attachment or remorse. The priest also helped the king deal with any potential unease about maybe some unworthy people receiving gifts. He advised the king to just purify his own mind and focus on the virtuous people present.
Interesting. So get your own mind right, focus on the good. And what about the actual doing of the sacrifice? Was it like Kūṭadanta's planned one?
Completely different. This is maybe the most radical part. The sacrifice King Mahavijita performed was incredibly ethical and compassionate. Well, first, no animals were killed. The text is explicit. No cattle were slaughtered, no goats or sheep, no chickens or pigs, no living creatures were put to death.
Wow, a bloodless sacrifice. That's huge.
It really is. And also, no environmental harm. No trees cut down for posts. No special grass mown in a way that caused harm.
That's amazing, too. What about the workers?
No forced labor. Servants and workers weren't made to do things using blows or fear. They weren't crying while they worked. It says those who wished to worked. Those who did not, did not. Voluntary participation.
So ethical treatment of labor, too. What do they offer, then, if not animals?
Simple, wholesome things. Ghee, oil, butter, curds, honey, molasses, pure non-violent offerings.
Okay, this is sounding less like a sacrifice and more like a massive, joyous community festival of generosity.
That's a great way to put it. And it gets even better. Remember those 4 groups who approved it? The officials, ministers, Brahmins, householders?
Yeah.
They all came to the king bringing their own vast wealth, wanting to contribute it to the sacrifice.
Oh, wow. Like matching funds.
Kind of. But the king refused their wealth. He said, I already have plenty acquired through righteous taxation. You keep yours, use it well, gain more.
Seriously. He turned down free money for the state.
He did. And inspired by the king's generosity and principles, these groups decided to become followers of the sacrifice themselves. They set up their own distribution points around the sacrificial area and gave gifts generously, following the same rules. No harm, voluntary participation.
So the king's generosity spread outwards through the whole community.
Exactly. And that, Gautama explains, that whole picture, the peaceful kingdom, the community buy-in, the virtuous king and priest, the pure intention, the nonviolent execution, the widespread generosity that is the threefold perfection of sacrifice with 16 requisites.
Mind blown. That is so far from the initial image of thousands of animals waiting to be killed. It redefines perfect sacrifice as like perfect governance and perfect community spirit.
It completely reframes it. It's about creating well-being, not performing violence.
Kūṭadanta must have been stunned hearing this, but apparently he wasn't quite finished asking questions.
No, he wasn't. The other Brahmins listening were apparently very impressed, praising this Mahavicchita-style sacrifice. But Kūṭadanta stayed quiet for a bit. Seems like it. Then he asks Gautama another really interesting question. Okay, that sacrifice sounds great, but is there another sacrifice, maybe one that's less costly, less trouble, but actually gives greater results, greater benefit?
He's looking for even more efficiency, or maybe something deeper.
Could be both. And Gautama says, yes, there is. And this is where he starts outlining this amazing hierarchy of sacrifices, moving step by step from even that ethical external act towards something purely internal.
Okay, so what's the first step up from King Mahita's awesome, nonviolent, socially responsible sacrifice?
Gautama says that regularly giving offerings and hospitality to virtuous monastics, monks, and nuns living the ethical life is actually superior to that huge royal sacrifice.
More valuable than establishing nationwide peace and prosperity through good governance. Why?
The reason given is fascinating. He says that arahants, the fully enlightened ones, and those seriously on the path, wouldn't even attend a big state sacrifice if it involved any violence or coercion, like Mahvihita's potentially could have, even if he chose not to. But they do accept these simple, peaceful offerings from lay supporters.
Ah, so it was about the purity and spiritual level of the recipients and the inherently peaceful nature of the act itself.
Exactly. It aligns more closely with the highest spiritual path.
Okay, so supporting virtuous individuals is step one. What's even better than that?
Next up, constructing a dwelling, a vihara, for the entire Sangha, the whole community of monks coming from all directions.
So building a monastery, why is that higher?
It's a bigger act of support, longer lasting, benefiting the entire community of practitioners, not just individuals receiving daily alms. It provides a stable base for the continuation of the spiritual path for many.
Right, a more enduring contribution. Okay, what surpasses building monasteries?
Now it shifts from purely material support. Higher still is sincerely taking refuge in the Buddha, the Dharma, his teachings, and the Sangha, the community.
Taking refuge. How is that a sacrifice?
It's a sacrifice of ego, perhaps, a sacrifice of doubt or wrong views. It's an internal commitment, placing one's trust and direction firmly on the path to enlightenment. It's a profound inner alignment, more valuable than any external structure.
Okay, that's a big leap inwards, from external acts to internal commitment. What could be higher than taking refuge?
Even higher than taking refuge, Gautama says, is undertaking and consistently observing the 5 precepts.
The basic ethical guidelines: don't kill, steal, lie.
Exactly. Abstaining from killing, taking what's not given, sexual misconduct, false speech, and intoxicants that lead to carelessness. This isn't a one-time thing like building a monastery or even just a declaration like taking refuge. It's a constant, moment-to-moment commitment in daily life.
So it's an ongoing sacrifice of harmful actions, cultivating virtue continuously.
You got it. It requires constant mindfulness and effort.
We've climbed quite a ladder here, from ethical statecraft to supporting monks, building monasteries, taking refuge, to living ethically every day. This redefinition of sacrifice is incredible. What's the absolute top? The ultimate sacrifice?
The absolute pinnacle, the sacrifice that Gautama calls unexcelled, the highest possible, is spiritual realization itself.
Enlightenment.
Yes, he describes the process. It starts when a Buddha appears in the world. Inspired by this, a person becomes a monastic, a bhikkhu, and cultivates virtue.
Oh, yeah?
Then, through serious meditation practice, this monastic develops the 4 jhanas. These are states of incredibly deep concentration, where the mind becomes unified, purified, and very powerful.
Deep meditative states. And then,
finally, using that concentrated, purified mind, the monastic directs it towards knowledge and vision, towards understanding the true nature of reality. This leads to the breakthrough, arahantship, liberation.
And that's described as,
The knowledge arises. Birth is destroyed. The holy life has been lived. What had to be done has been done. There is no more for this state of being. It's the complete extinguishing of suffering and its causes.
so the ultimate sacrifice is sacrificing ignorance,
Yeah.
sacrificing the causes of suffering, sacrificing the illusion of a separate self.
That's exactly it. It's the highest offering because it yields the highest possible fruit, liberation. It requires very little in terms of external stuff, but demands immense internal effort, culminating in the ultimate letting go.
That completely transforms the meaning, from giving things up externally to giving up internal defilement.
It's the ultimate offering, the ultimate purification.
How did Kūṭadanta take this final teaching? I mean, he came asking about animal sacrifice.
The impact seems to have been immediate and overwhelming. The text says he was deeply moved. He praises Gautama's teaching really eloquently.
What does he say?
He uses these beautiful metaphors, like Gautama has set upright what was overturned, revealed what was hidden, shown the way to the lost, or held up a lamp in the darkness so that those with eyes can see. He clearly felt he'd received profound clarity.
And did he act on it?
Instantly, he declares right then and there that he takes refuge in the Buddha, the Dharma, and the Sangha, and asks Gautama to accept him as a lay follower for the rest of his life.
Wow. A complete conversion right there on the spot.
Seems so. And then he does something incredibly symbolic, directly related to why he came in the first place.
The animals.
Yes, he announces he is releasing all those animals, the 700 bulls, 700 steers, all of them. He sets them free.
He cancels his great sacrifice.
Completely. He grants them life, saying they should just eat green grass, drink cool water, and have cool breezes blow upon them. It's this beautiful, tangible enactment of the compassion and nonviolence he's just learned is central to true spiritual practice.
That's powerful. Putting the teaching into action immediately.
It shows he really got it. And the teaching didn't stop there. Gautama saw Kūṭadanta was ready for more.
So he taught him further.
Yeah, he gave him what's often called the gradual teaching. About generosity, about virtue, about the rewards of ethical living, like rebirth in heavenly realms, but also the drawbacks of sensual pleasures, the nature of mental defilements, and the benefits of renunciation.
Kind of preparing his mind even more.
Exactly. And once Gautama saw Kūṭadanta's mind was ready, receptive, free from hindrances, elated and confident, he taught him the core teaching of the Buddhas, the Four Noble Truths. Suffering, its origin, craving, its cessation, nirvana, and the path to cessation, the Eightfold Path.
The essential framework.
Right. And upon hearing this, Kūṭadanta gained profound insight, what's called the Dhamma eye. He saw for himself the fundamental principle. Whatever is of a nature to arise, all that is of a nature to cease. Impermanence. He became clear, free from doubt about the teaching.
So a deep level of understanding was reached.
A very deep level. And then, as a final act of gratitude and respect,
He invites Gautama for a meal.
yes, he invites Gautama and all the monks for a meal the next day. Gautama accepts. Kūṭadanta prepares a fine meal, serves them himself, and that concludes this incredible encounter.
What a journey. So just to recap, we started this deep dive picturing this massive, almost violent traditional animal sacrifice.
Thousands of animals, a really intense image.
And through exploring this text, the Kūṭadantasuttaṃ, we've ended up with a definition of sacrifice. It's completely transformed.
Yeah, we saw that the perfect external sacrifice, like King Mahavihita's, wasn't about killing animals at all. It was about first creating a just, peaceful, and prosperous society through really wise governance.
Addressing the root causes of suffering in society.
Exactly. And then the actual sacrifice was an act of collective, nonviolent generosity, done with pure intention and community participation.
But even that wasn't the highest form.
Right. Gautama then laid out that hierarchy, supporting virtuous monastics, building monasteries for the community, taking refuge in the three jewels, living by the 5 precepts daily.
Each step moving further inwards, demanding less external stuff and more internal commitment and virtue.
Until we reached the absolute pinnacle. The highest sacrifice is the internal transformation of achieving enlightenment itself, the letting go of all the mental defilements that cause suffering.
So the key takeaway seems to be that true sacrifice, true offering, moves way beyond just external rituals or shows. It's about genuinely benefiting others, fostering community well-being, and ultimately transforming your own mind.
That's it perfectly. The greatest sacrifice isn't giving up external things, but giving up greed, hatred, delusion, the thing that bind us. That leads to real freedom.
Which brings us to the final thought for you listening. Given this ancient wisdom, What does sacrifice really mean in your life today?
How could you apply these ideas, maybe fostering responsibility in your community, practicing ethical conduct more consciously, or dedicating time to inner work, to mental cultivation? Maybe the most valuable sacrifice you can make doesn't involve giving up anything tangible, but rather letting go of old habits or limited ways of thinking.